perfect timing. Actually, I got a question, and you're in the right spot to answer it.
Oh, I like questions.
So, are VW Beetles easy to restore?
For me, yeah. My gosh, yeah. I mean, you know, it's a... Stop what I'm doing here. It's kind of a learned skill set. They're extremely, as I said in our first book, they are brutally simplistically well engineered. So they'll piggyback a lot of stuff, but a lot of people tend to try to make it more complicated than it actually is. When we start working on custom stuff like I'm working on now, it gets a little bit more tricky. Yeah. Because you're having aftermarket parts work with other aftermarket parts, work with factory stuff, work with other aftermarket reproductions. Oh. So, yeah. it gets kind of interesting. It's like the systems were never designed to go together, and we're just kind of making them work. So, good example, what I'm doing right here. So, this is one of the CRC suspensions, but it's a stock width. Okay. And we can't run the rims that we want to run from Paul Ozio. And so we did all the backspacing measurements and all that stuff, and I called over Kevin, and he says, well, didn't you order the narrowed kit? And I says, well, we ordered the narrow rear end. We were thinking we were going to get the narrowed front end. He said, okay, I'll send you over the parts, no charge, send me the other ones back. Okay. So I got the new parts in, I've got to get these off and then ship back to him. But that's just a good example. We had this suspension fully built before the car even went on. Right, okay. And now I'm having to go back in and disassemble. So I've got to replace the steering rack, I've got to replace the sway bar, the upper and lower control arms. So it means I've got to I'm going to try to pull the rotor as one piece and leave the brakes hooked up. And so right now I'm just pulling the shock out so I can get to the lower mount. Right. So it's just, it's one of those things that's like, we're going to charge the client for some of the work, but not all of it. Right, yeah. Being that we weren't sure on the rims that we were going to work. Yeah. You know, when we first started working on the suspension, he knew he wanted the suspension, but he wasn't sure on the rims he wanted to run. Gotcha. So that's kind of what we're doing. So it's kind of, the restoration itself is not exceptionally hard. It's the building, the fitment, all that kind of stuff. You've got to be very, very methodical and very, very aware of what you're doing. Okay. So I've been doing install on this car for the last week and a half. And what that is just putting parts back on. Right, which is harder than it sounds because the paint, that's one reason. Well, yeah, you don't want to scratch anything up. So you've got to be real careful. We use a lot of tape when we're doing stuff. Right. So it's like the Aussie trim, which I just finished putting on last week. Yeah, look, guys. Haven't done the doors yet. I'm not going to do the doors until we set the doors in place, and can't do the doors until we do the interior. Nice. But it was one of those, it's like we're using reproduction clips. Yeah. With aftermarket Aussie trim that we sent out for chrome. Yeah. And it was like, even though it was chrome, we wanted everything to be consistently chrome. Yeah. And since we were doing a show quality... Oh yeah, because chrome can differ. Yeah, chrome can differ. You can have a normal driver chrome, and then you can have show quality, which is like 3 more steps, and it's that much more expensive. Sure. So, have fun with it. Just don't get frustrated. If something starts to frustrate you, walk away from it. Take a breath. Walk away. Shake it off. It's like I installed the rear bumper today and the bumperettes, and it took me 2 hours to set. Was it 1, 2, 3, 4, 6, 7, 8 bolts? To get everything so I'm not scratching anything, so everything's lining up right. All the measuring, all the fitting, and it's like you have to do a loose fit, and then you start tightening up and double check your numbers, make sure you're not hitting anything. So, it's just being methodical in your work. Right. And be really, really highly aware of the attention to detail. Yeah. And that'll show up in your build, your door gaps, your fit and finish of your panels. It's like if you look at the dash, here's a really good example of factory aftermarket and refurbish. So this is factory. This is factory, but I had to go in and repair this because the spring had popped off of its catch. Then I had to fix the spring, which is the age of the car, but it works now. Yeah. So this is an aftermarket part that didn't quite line up, but it's a pretty good reproduction. Yeah. And we have the original, so I did double check it. That's an aftermarket tack for this car. And then the radio itself, this was actually done by a company up out of Nashville, so we sent them up an original Sapphire 1 radio. So this car came with either Zenith or Sapphire. and sometimes they came with some other ones, but we re-chromed all of the trim pieces, and then this is all Bluetooth audio, and so you can literally plug and play your phone.
That is beautiful.
And play your playlist. And then this is a reproduction Denali fuel gauge. This car never came with a fuel gauge. In fact, I like it
Just have to guess.
Well, no, because they had reserve levers, so it's like you sputter out of gas, so it give you another half a gallon.
Okay.
And you just swap the little level. So Miss Mabel has that. I'm actually thinking about installing one of these in Miss Mabel for when you start driving her.
Yeah.
And it's like, I know it's time for me to get that thing back in the shop, but as you can see, we're kind of full and a lot of staffing and...
Well, you know, cobblers' kids are always barefoot.
Yes. So, no really updates on that. They're going to be working on the top probably this week.
All right. What about Cabral, anything?
No, I did most of the interior.
You got that wiring, right?
I finished up some of the landline wiring.
Okay.
I've still got to drop in a couple boxes and then wire those up, and then Rodney will finish up with that, and then we had a little bit of fit and finish on that.
Great.
So this is slowly getting wired up.
It looks really pretty.
So Rodney and Stone were working on this one.
Okay.
And then after I run out of parts to assemble over on range, because as you can see, so everything on those two racks are range.
Oh, wow.
So everything over there,
Range racks.
we either can't use, or like except for the steering wheel, or they're old parts. Everything over here is stuff that we're going to be putting onto the car.
Okay.
So it's like I'm slowly, the shelf is getting barer and barer and barer.
Yeah. Getting there.
I've got to finish up the wiring on this, and then I'm going to go ahead and start assembly on this to get everything back together, but I want to make sure, since this is the way it sets up for the electrical, you can't really get to it.
Sure.
So we want to do all of our electrical testing before I start reassembling
That makes sense.
the rest of the buggy, and then we go out and test drive it, and it goes home. So I'm looking forward to it.
That's pretty cool.
Finally got updates on Mr. Gauza's gauges. Finally got a hold of the guys over at the company in the UK. They went through a mandatory shutdown. Just now starting up back production. So we finally got our order in, and we're still looking 6 to 8 weeks before we get them.
Oh, yeah.
But they're the gauges he wants.
Okay. Well, custom is custom.
And then we have the metal boys out here.
Hey, metal boys.
Oh, by the way, at the end of the video, wait for it, because there's going to be some bonus footage that I shot this morning, and I'm not going to tell you what it is.
Oh, okay.
So hit the like, subscribe, and enjoy yourself.
All right. Metal boys.
I don't really like to be called that.
I know. That's not really a great thing.
I do a lot more than that.
Metal men.
What are we doing? You want a rundown today?
Yeah, I want to.
Okay, so we'll start in the back. Obviously, the roof's gone.
Oh, we are missing a roof.
But we'll go over that in a minute. So in the back here, you know, we've been working slowly and had things tied in. And now we've got measurements where we actually got everything set to where the engine latch and hatch is lined up, which is allowing us to line the bus up on the frame. We got the frame straight, so it's sitting on the frame back here now.
Wow.
And so we're going to get, this is the new, it's a brand new, obviously, engine door, which is sitting right here, so it lines up pretty good.
Look
So
at that.
we're sitting there now. We're going to get that all worked out.
Nice.
And then we'll have the new hatch, but we got to do all the interior parts.
Yeah.
There's not really a manual on how to redo a 1967 21 window bus, so you kind of got to go by how you go. So
Exactly.
But so we've got the frame, and the good news on that part is everything is where it's supposed to be, lines up. So our corner our famous corner right before it came in, so if you want to look over the side here without cutting yourself, it's right there. This is the little piece on the inside here that we've been waiting on forever, and Rodney finally got it, and that was allowed us to do the rest of this. So, and that was a piece that they don't make new.
Wow.
So we had to get it out of a donor bus, and and work on it until it was where it was at. Now the roof, we just cut the roof off because we got to the section where...
That had to be fun.
Yeah, so the roof's sitting right there all in one piece.
Wow.
Because it's a ragtop, and we got to keep that ragtop because we got to redo that because they also don't make the ragtop. I mean, they make the top itself, but they don't make the pieces. So we've got to use that intersection. We got all new roof panels, so when this is done, this is kind of what these will go back in here. You'll have your new window sections.
Incredible.
And then there's a roof section that connects from there to the other window. You know, There's a whole front roof cap. So that's going to be all new metal from the top up.
Yeah.
And so what we had to do is we've got, it's like a puzzle. So there's only certain pieces have to go together all at once. So we got to the point where we couldn't do anything up front here without getting this top away because this piece, everything up here front, like I said, so this piece sits up here and it's going to be a front cap. And then from there, these pieces, which are new, which are the top of the new door frame,
look at that.
Attached to it and so on and so forth. So we got to the point where we had to get the roof off to be able to do all this together because you have to put it all together at once.
It's like the mother of all jigsaw puzzles.
Yeah, so that's where we're at on that. So now we're at the point where we're going to put, and we did get a whole new, so like I said, this project's been going on for a while. So when we started, this window frame only came with the outside. It didn't have these inside pieces. Since we've been working on it, they came up with the whole piece. So we reordered it and got that piece.
Oh, good.
So this is set in the nose and be a whole front nose and everything I just talked about. I attach onto this and take her on back. So we'll get the nose put on, the whole front cap here. And,
yeah, you're making really fast progress now.
Yeah, well, it's like I said, when we got all the little weird little things worked out, it starts going, but then it will slow down again at the point. When we get to the point where, when we expose stuff, there's all kinds of little weird things that are messed up that we got to go fix, little pieces and patches that you don't have to do, but there's probably some shops that wouldn't because you'll never see that. That thing's gonna be covered.
Right. But we kind of specialize in. We do the things nobody ever sees.
So we're fixing all the channels and making it where it won't rust again. For instance, on parts like this, if you look inside here where it's real rusty, what we'll do is spray a rust inhibitor in there where you don't have to because nobody would ever see it.
Yeah.
But we do that stuff. So
and
that's what we're doing. You'll see all this gray. It's not just to make it look good. That'll keep it from rusting in places that will be covered up.
Not decorative.
Not decorative. Just to help it along. So hopefully she'll last a little longer than 20 years this time.
Yeah.
So anyways, that's was the flooring last week?
Yes.
Okay.
So I think so.
Down here, the front floor. It's a little dirty in here because we just took top off, but we had these two in, I know, but I don't know if we had that in, but it's in there where it's going to go now.
Yeah.
So.
All right. And the back floor, we're waiting for.
Well, we had it fit.
Still,
we got to finish some things up underneath before we can permanently mount it.
Yeah.
So it's kind of like that's the same thing as the front. What has to happen is this gas tray here, the heater channels on the front here slip under the floor.
Right.
So we have to have that ready to go. Well, the fenders mount to that.
Okay.
So we have to have that ready to go. Mount the fender and put the floor in. It all has to go on once. So everything has to be done at one time. Wow. So we got to make sure we got all that lined up and that all go boom, 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 and it'll be done.
Yeah. So. All right.
So next week we should see pretty good progress again.
Wow. It's good. Well, I know people are following the build, so.
Yeah. So anyways.
Feast your eyes, folks.
That's where we're at.
All right.
I know people keep looking here and thinking it looking the same.
Yeah. Well, but it's not. I mean, so many other things.
There's a lot of fitting and refitting. So there's a lot of pieces we got to put in and see how they fit, check them, customize them, refit them. So that floor's been in and out 4 or 5 times.
I would imagine the whole bus will come together and apart a bunch.
Yeah. So we're there.
Great. All right. Well, keep it up. It's looking good.
All right.
Good progress. All right, Mr. Shannon, what are you up to?
I am in the process of finishing up installing Mr. Fonseca's new motor in his Ghia.
Nice.
1776 scat motor.
All right. And you guys tune in on Sunday because you can watch Shannon do it.
Oh yes, yes. We videoed that earlier, setting it in and all.
Well, there you go.
And they can be easy. Sometimes they can be a little fun. But this one wasn't too bad.
Wasn't too bad? Okay.
Yeah, it wasn't too bad. We got to change some wiring because changing from a regular generator to a single wire alternator, so we'll be eliminating the voltage regulator. We got to rewire it just a little bit. Then after we get the motor done, finish up a few little minor things with his doors and windows and all, and then we should be ready to go. Yes.
Good. All right. Well, keep it up, guys.
Oh yeah.
Say goodbye to the nice people.
Bye.
Bye, nice people.
Nice people.